Welcome, 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 everybody. We are live. Let me jot on over to Instagram and click the little go live there as well, so we can be live absolutely everywhere. Beautiful. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another wine and comics pairing show. Today, we have a very special guest, Laurie Calcaterra. How should we pronounce that, actually?
Calcaterra.
Calcaterra. Laurie
you gold
Calcaterra.
star. You were right the first time. There you go.
Okay, perfect.
We'll count
I
it.
should have stopped while I was ahead. Laurie Calcaterra, the creator and writer of Path of the Pale Rider, which we are going to be talking about today. But first, we got to show everyone, what show are they even watching?
Yeah,
Let's hear that. All right. Yes.
Nice.
We are the Wine and Comics pairing show. So we will be pairing a wine with, boom, Path of the Pale Rider trade paperback collecting issues 1 through 4 today. Welcome, Laurie. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I have my little my glass of wine in the travel cup.
Yeah,
I don't trust myself next to my keyboard.
Oh, see, that is wise. Right? I am never that. So I'm about to pour a little something in a proper wine glass. I have 2 wines and 2 wine glasses today. Dallas is going to roll his eyes now, but yes, as always, 2 wine. Oh yeah, Dallas is frozen as always. All right, let me. This always fixes it. Remove, return. Welcome back.
There you are.
Yeah, there we
go. Yeah. So it probably, are you in Dallas is over on the East Coast. He keeps
heavy rains today. Very heavy rains.
Heavy rain. Yes. Well, you know what? Same in LA. Strangely enough, it's actually heavy rains over here. So we'll see how this show goes, because even where it never rains, we are experiencing heavy rain. So yeah. So we shall see how that goes. But yeah, I'm never that wise, but I'm always, so I have a standing desk, as you can see. So I'm here. So all the wines go under the desk, and then the keyboard and everything is on top, and I keep like putting the glasses and the bottles and everything underneath, and I'm like, knock it over, spill, break glass, whatever. It's a mess, but nothing important, nothing irreplaceable, or that's going to cost me 4 figures to replace. It's going to get damaged. So
it's funny, Dallas is on the East Coast and Laurie is in Dallas.
Oh, cute.
There you go, baby. That's right.
I'm in Texas, where it's beautiful and sunny and nice because we're past February. So
that's right.
It's warming up. It's like, it gets in the 80s real quick here, so it's nice.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's like that 98% of the time where I live. God damn it! But it's like I had to pull out my umbrella, which like lives in a closet. I don't even know. It's one of those things I forget I own it. I always have to be like, oh wait, can I go? Do I have to like put a hoodie on just to go outside, or do I have something? And then I'm like,
where are you?
LA, Los Angeles.
You are in LA. Okay. Yeah,
I'm in LA. So I always like, then I have to go rooting through the closet being like, do I have I'm pretty sure I bought one. I don't know if I still have it. Let me find out. And then I dig it out and I'm like, oh, good. I thought I had.
People in Seattle never buy umbrellas because they're always using them. But it's like people that don't have to use umbrellas are constantly buying them because they misplace them. And
Yes. Or you buy them, forget that you own it. And so you go, then
you're like, I don't know where it is.
Coming. Let me go buy another one. Right. And then one day, like when you move, you finally unearth the like stash of a dozen umbrellas all like, collected throughout the place. And you're like, God damn it. I put one in the bathroom. Why did I do that? I'm trying to remember. Why was it under the sink in the bathroom?
Where it was.
Well, I think a lot of times, like I dry my umbrella by opening it up in the bathtub and things like that, and then I leave it there. So then when I close it, I'm like, I'm in here already. Throw it under the sink. I mean, it's not. It wasn't because I was being smart or clever. It was because I was being lazy as shit. And then eventually that comes back to bite me. So that's always the way. Everyone in the comments, sound off if you are watching, if you're near a keyboard, and you can say who you are, because there are quite a few of you today. So let us know who you are and where you're coming from. And Laurie, this is our first time on the Wine and Comics pairing show. So the first time that we have really dug into your work and you as a creator. So please, for the viewers who are our viewers and not the ones that follow you from show to show, I'm sure they don't want to hear your story again.
We're going to hear it again.
They're going to hear it again. In broad strokes, or as much as you'd like, please tell us what made you a writer? Why comics? What got you into comics? And how long have you been a comics fiend? Or is that something that you fell into in your adult life? And then, of course, we also have to talk about the martial arts background, because I swiped a photo from your Instagram to make the thumbnail for the show. I'm like, dude, that's an amazing, like, kick-ass photo. And I'm like, oh, she's going to kick our ass. This is great. And I will say, I'm a martial arts. I've never practiced martial arts myself, but I'm a martial arts movie aficionado. I love them to pieces. I own quadruple digits of martial arts movies, believe it or not. So it's like 1,000+ martial arts movies, both admittedly on hard drives and on physical media. But I have like an entire wall dedicated to it in the living room. So please give us your backstory. I want to hear it.
So my comics journey actually starts with martial arts. So I started training martial arts in 1997. I practice Filipino and Indonesian martial arts, which are all very weapons heavy. It's great for women because it's the ultimate equalizer. You're going to be stronger and faster, have more of a reach than I do. But if I have a stick, we are now equal. You know what I mean? So,
did you do the Filipino one with the 2 sticks? Yes.
Yes. Well, I've practiced Kalia and Eskrima and Dos Pares and Arnis.
Yes.
The one that I really enjoy is Kali Illustrissimo. That's what I'm currently training. And that is a lot of sword and dagger, 2 swords. I mean, obviously can translate to sticks, but it's 2 strikes and kill them. We could have a whole nother conversation about martial arts, especially this one, because it's so interesting. Hi, William. It's just that the founder of that art, William. Yes, the founder of that art was he was in the army, and then he was in the Coast Guard. He used to fight pirates on ships, and then he started working for the mob, and he was a hitman for the mob in Manila. And so they would just find bodies, and the way that they were killed, they knew it was him, right?
Yeah.
And so he never taught anybody until he was in his like 60s, because you're giving away your trade secrets that keep you alive, right? So it's super interesting, and we can talk about that a whole nother time. But so I started training in 1997. 2017, I had been training for a long time, knew a lot of martial artists, and decided that I wanted to manage a fight team, like choreography wise. So I started Trinity 60. So it was myself and 2 of my fellow martial artists. And we were kind of this go-between between the martial arts team, which could be up to 20 people, depending on what the production company needed. And of course, the production company. So there was music videos and short films and commercials and whatever they wanted. We had someone that could do that. You want us to fall down for you? We could do that too. Do you want wrestling, street fighting, stick fighting, knife fighting, jujitsu, kung fu, whatever? We have someone that can do all that, right? So I wrote a short film called Catfishing, which is on my YouTube. So if you want to go see me do a wall run and disarm a gun and do some knife fighting and then run someone over with a car, it's there. We're not actors. No.
As someone who follows stunt people regularly, I know.
Yeah, we don't act. I mean, we try, but it's not great, right? But we do some kick-ass stunts. So that was like our calling card. That was our resume that was intended to be sent out to be like, oh, Trinity 60, these are some of the things that we could do. The production company liked me so much. They were like, do you want to write for us? We have this whole idea for a YouTube like empire, and we want to do like webisodes, and would you consider writing for us? So I started writing short form web content. I wrote this whole series called The Agency, which again was heavy martial artists, spy versus spy, traitors, twists and turns, all sorts of crazy stuff. I wrote 2 seasons with 6 episodes each. We filmed the pilot in, I want to say 2018. And then I moved to Texas. So I was in Detroit area. I was in Northville, Michigan, and relocated to like an hour north of Dallas is where we are. So at that point, that kind of all fell by the wayside. It wasn't going to work. So, but in the meantime, I had started writing other things and had the idea for Path of the Pale Rider. So I wrote this script as a full-length movie under the title Dead West. So I just want to throw that out there. When we start talking about the story and you guys see things that are happening now, I wrote this in 2018 and completed the whole script in 2019 before we moved to Texas.
Ooh.
Okay. So when we start talking about some of the crazy that's happening, I have played the Simpsons game, and we're checking off the list at this point with all the crazy Simpsons predictions. But so I wrote this as a full-length movie, and I was letting like the guys from the production company read it, and I was being pushed to pitch this towards Netflix.
Yeah.
Everybody says Netflix. It's that big. You want to take it there? They can do it. I one was chicken. Two, I didn't want to give up the creative rights.
Right, which you would have. 1,000% you would have. 1,001%.
You sign it all over, right? And they either can shelve it and nobody ever sees it, or they can twist it. They can change the characters. They can change how it ends. They can bring in all these other writers, right? You have no control. So I wasn't ready to do that. I want people to read the story. I want you to get attached to the characters. And, you know, if someday it becomes a live action or an animated or whatever, great. That would be great. That is not my end goal. My end goal is for people to read the story, follow along, play the games, do the shenanigans, and have a good time. If later on Netflix gets their hands into it and things change, at least people know what the original agenda of Jude St. Clair is. They understand the female characters. They're not turned into like bimbos or something ridiculous. You know, it happens. So
it does. So it happens less these days. Like there's more pressure to, it happens less these days. I think mostly because, and to be fair, not because people are necessarily better, but just because the pressure is on to not let that, like, you know, the first draft, like some male writer will turn in a draft where they're like, okay, great, but we did the thing that we've been doing for 50 fucking years, and now we need to have some stronger female, like we need to actually bring them to the forefront a little bit and give them more to do. It's like, oh, okay, now then you get that in the rewrites, but at least the pressure is on to not let that be the final version that hits screens, you know.
And in my story, there's ethics, and it'll make you think, it'll question humanity, but I don't pander to any audience, and I don't tell you what's right and wrong. It's really this gray, mushy, disgusting area that you have to wade through yourself and make up your own damn mind about what you think is right and wrong in this world. So I don't know. It's its own thing. And again, it's like maybe someday, but not now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I was looking for an artist. We started in 2020. I had 2 different artists attached to the project and what are here now. And of course, the pandemic hit in March and everything crashed and burned. I think I called it in like August of that year because I was like, nothing is happening. Everybody is upset. Like it was just calamity. Like a tree fell on one of their houses. There was a shooting in the other guy's apartment. Like, and then their roof collapsed into their house. Like it was one disaster after another. And I was like, okay, we're just going to call it. Right. So all of 2021, I did nothing. And then 2022, I decided if I was going to continue, I needed to find the right artist, and had met Marco DeFio, who is the interior artist. And he does all of our A covers. And that was it. Like he drew Jude St. Clair as you see him now. And I was like, all right, let's get started. So we started our first issue March of that year. We self-published in July, and we've been making comics like every 6 months. We brought Matt Chambers into the fam. Hey, John. We brought Matt Chambers into the family as a colorist with issue 3. So he is actually colored issue 3, issue 4, and then for the trade paperback, he went back and he colored issue number 1, which was originally in black and white. So with the trade paperback, you finally get all 4 in color in one thing, and a crap ton of bonus material. I think it ended up being like 148 pages when all was said and done. So
yeah.
So that's my crazy journey.
Nice.
I'm still on it, apparently. So
well, of course, so
I'm
far
still
so
having
good.
fun, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
So, okay, number of things. I was writing down notes because you went through a couple of things and I was like, oh shit, but I don't want to stop you. So first off, I did want to ask the agency, the series that you did and you wrote for, is that still online somewhere? Like if I bothered to try and dig that up?
It's not. I think the only thing that you can find is I think the promo art that the production company did with me, like shooting a gun.
Okay.
We did some like promo art in preparation, and the pilot was done, but it needed reshoots.
Right.
And we just never got them done before I relocated to Texas. So that one is not. It's just one of those things in Hollywood where it's like there's so many
100%.
projects that have been greenlit and filmed and then canned. Or greenlit and never started, or
you should still see if you can like release the work in progress like pilot.
It's really rough. I've seen it.
Okay. So you're like no,
even...
I don't want to ask. I personally don't want to ask that actually.
I mean, I've seen the rough cut, and I was just like, oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I was like, it needs work. Like we would need to reshoot quite a bit. The fights were cool, but again, if you don't capture them the right way, they look dumb.
Yeah, always look dumb.
And you can edit it wrong and have it look dumb. You know what I mean? So
right.
It needed some work. Like someday, if I could release like maybe one of the fight scenes that we did, that was cool. Right. I have some of the video from when we were choreographing it, and like I had brought on some parkour people. There's another short film. I don't know when that one's coming out. We filmed that ages ago, but I think it's in the film festival circuit now.
Okay.
Where it's myself and a parkour runner, a free runner. And he was amazing. He got to show off and do all the cool stuff. I'm like, all right, so I get to fight next. And they're like, no, Laurie, you have to run. I'm like, I have to run. I'm like, I don't wanna run. I want to fight the guy. And he's like, no, there's no fighting, just run.
So real quick, Laurie, the move to Texas. You said you were in the Detroit or Michigan area. Do you have roots in Texas, or was it just what brought you there?
My husband's job. Yeah, he's in auto finance, and Toyota they scalped him. Pretty much, they were like, we want this dude
finally out of Detroit.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, it was for me. I hate the cold. And when you live in a place where there's like 7 different names for snow, you know you're not in the right place, right?
I was born outside of Detroit, and my whole family is still up there, and I visit them. I still do my winters up in Petoskey, Michigan, which is like way at the northern tip.
Exactly.
I'm in LA now, so that's a novelty if I only have to be there for like a week. That's a week.
Okay.
Exactly. To visit.
People are like, you want to come back for Christmas? I was like, no.
Oh. And see, I live in LA, so I'm like, yes, please, something that isn't just sunshine and like snow and weather and gray skies, and I want to drink tea all day, and it's amazing, and like that gets me going now, because like in LA, I'm always like, okay, I want to drink. I bought this tea. I love this tea. I want to drink it. It's not great as iced tea, but I'm sitting in front of my AC in order to drink the fucking thing. So yeah.
Do you ski or snowboard? Either one of you guys?
No,
I definitely ski. Snowboarding is a bridge too far, though. It's a step too far.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that was like a big thing for Michigan, is people would go snowboarding and skiing, and I hate that.
I like snowshoeing.
None of it.
That's the weird version of the winter. Like that's the thing no one else likes to do. But I love the trudging on this. Like I love the long hikes, trudging with those snowshoes. I don't know. I feel like a frontiersman or something. I'm sure that like part of my man brain is just sort of like, yeah, I'm tough. I'm like snowshoeing through the shit. Whereas skiing is just like having fun. I'm like,
I would be like in the ski chalet drinking the hot tea or the hot cocoa. Exactly. There goes Dave. There he goes again.
Well, afterwards, you go get the hot chocolate in the ski chalet, and like that's your reward for finishing.
No, you're so gross. You're like drenched in sweat from wearing all the gear.
I love in the cold. I love that. Yeah. Oh, see, I love that. In the cold makes me feel. I will say, so I can tell I was born in Michigan. I've got that cold, like Michigan blood, where the cold makes me feel alive, where it's like I want to sweat because it's so fucking cold, whereas in the heat I kind of want to do the cat thing, where it's like, just like, oh yeah, I'm in the sun, and so I'm like, I don't move, I'm just like dead to the world, and like laying down, like, yes, rub my belly, that's all I'm good for, like when it's hot. But in the cold, that's when I'm like, let's snowshoe. So anyway.
Gross.
It's gross. So I did want to comment on your point too, because Path of the Pale Rider, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the story here and some of the things you mentioned
Yeah.
about when you wrote it and the things you were ahead of in terms of what the story is. So this is for those of you who are unaware, who are watching that have not read Path of the Pale Rider, or kind of unaware of the concept of the story. It is a story of the undead, but it is not a zombie story. So this is not a mindless, brainless version. It's not your classic Romero or even your 28 Days Later type of fast zombies. These are basically death is taking in a totally non-funny way. Death has taken a holiday and has stopped. Like, people are medically dying and sticking around, and they are rotting and they are falling apart. And the one thing that was really interesting about what you decided to do with this, and we're only 4 issues in, folks, so there's a lot we still don't know about what this is and how it works exactly, which is part of the thing. You mentioned about you wanted to create a world where there was a lot of gray area ethically and morally, and I think it especially works because when something like this happens, kind of like, let's go to the pandemic. And yes, you wrote this and came up with the idea and wrote a lot of it before the pandemic. So it was before those things. Now, to be fair to the pandemic itself, a lot of these types of virus and zombie type stories where it essentially acts like a virus is like, they're all prescient because it's like, that's how viruses work. So if it's something that's like a virus, it's like, right, this is how we would behave and react.
This is how we would behave. 100%.
Exactly. 100%. And I do like some stories are more grounded in that way than others, though. And this is one that's much more grounded in terms of what our response is and how torn we are depending on our relationship to what is happening and who it's happening to and our relationship to those people. And so that we carve lines on which side we stand on based on like, we give a shit, we don't, because of how it's personally affecting us, which is such a human thing. It really, really shouldn't be, but it totally effing is. I wish we could get past that, but we can't. We never seem to be able to. But in this case, it's also, because you don't, just like with the pandemic, where we're like, okay, it's COVID. We kind of know how it works, but not really. And as time went on, we had to keep changing how our understanding of how it worked and what the real dangers were and how it spread and what situations were more dangerous than others. And a lot of people, responded negatively to the changing of the information, but it's like, but that's how we don't know. We're figuring it out. And that's
evolving.
Yes. But that also makes it gray area in terms of like, you as a individual, you don't have 2 solid feet on the ground when it comes to these things. Like, we're not certain what the best choices are. You can take in the information you have, but then you also have to respond to the people in your life that are right there next to you and the situation as it's happening and make your best decision based on what you know. And one thing I really appreciated about what you do with this story is, I think, you give us enough information so we understand what's happening. We understand in very fundamental baselines like how it works, but we don't really know how it works. We don't know what it's doing. We don't know what the dangers really are. You keep us as readers in kind of the same place as the participants, as the characters, right? And that works really well. I'm assuming because you just brought all this up, that was intentional and that's something that you wanted to do. One thing I'm curious about, though, you did jump to the backstory, some of the backstory, like much quicker than I thought you would. And I was like, oh, okay, we're already going there. Here we go. And so for you, when it comes to like the quote unquote present day of the comic to the backstory, we're only 4 issues in. So we've kind of had like 2 issues of each, really, more or less. And how do you see this story going in terms of like, are we in the backstory until we get back to the present? Or are we jumping back and forth? Like, how is the story in your head?
Right. The backstory, the flashback is just in these first few issues. And then once we catch up to where we left Jude in the jail cell with Dwayne Fink, then we are back in that moment and then we go forward. Hi, William Russell. Nice to see you.
Oh yes,
So,
a few more people. John, by the way, sorry, I missed you earlier. Laurie caught you. I didn't say anything. Welcome back, John.
He drops the
and
bear. William Russell,
oh
what's
yes,
up?
and William, what's up? Welcome, William. Sorry, you were saying, Laurie.
Yeah, but that's why I'm so excited to pick up after this and start number 5, because again, this was a full-length movie, so we got through act 1 of the movie. So it's like introducing the characters, introducing the world, introducing some drama.
Groundwork. Yeah.
Right, putting in all the groundwork, understanding all the rules, and then in the middle act, that's when everything goes wrong.
Right, of course.
So we're gonna catch up to where Jude is in Santa Claus, and then we're gonna burn a bunch of stuff down.
Very nice.
And then after, I think it's 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere 9 or 10, he figures it out. He figures out what starts the apocalypse. And then you'll see if he can figure out how to put the world right.
How to undo it, how to fix it, or find a way
through. So it's all on his shoulders.
Right. If he can't even fix it, what if he can't? I mean, he could, and he could die along the way.
And if he can't, that becomes the question for humanity in terms of like, well, so what do we do going forward? Right. How do we deal with this now that this is the new, quote unquote, the new normal? That phrase that we love, because it's like, you can't just right now, obviously in these early stages of the issues, humanity's in the containment phase of the whole thing, brutally so sometimes. And that is the freak out side. But then if it does just keep going, it's like, okay. And then part of the thing that's great about this version of the undead is, of course, you leave people with their full personality, their full memories, their full ability to think, at least short term. There's a question.
Beginning.
Yeah. So, and that's something that isn't 100% clear in these early issues, is like, I think it's kind of suggested, but we don't see it yet. No. So it's one of those things where someone becomes undead, but it's like, they're still them, which is
in the beginning.
The horrible and fun part. Right.
This is the interesting part about Path of the Pale Rider. Things that I don't have time to show you in the comic book, a lot of times we explore those things in the short films and in the riddles. So we're actually working on a
universe there.
Yeah. So our short film, we're on our 4th one. And this one, it's called A Day in the Life. And we are exploring what happens to a nuclear family when the head of the household dies in the first minute of the show. And in the beginning, he's himself. And of course, there's some issues because the house was in only his name.
Of course.
And but then he starts to deteriorate. And what does that look like? And how do they react to that? And there's some scary parts. There's some heart-wrenching parts. And then, of course, we end with a bang because it's a Laurie Calcaterra film.
I like the idea, as we were talking about earlier, you taking those sort of, large view existential things with, the sort of death. And also that kind of really prescient first person thing of, how the hell do we stay in this home considering it's in his name? So, the interplay between those two realities, I think, is probably the sweet spot. And I think it's the reason people are going to respond to this, because it is, on one hand, sort of set in that kind of zombie adjacent kind of universe, but it's a very terrestrial kind of, story of a family. So I like that.
It will make you question your humanity. What would you do in that situation? I've been playing a little game as when the campaign started. I posed these grim questions on my social media. So there's a little grim reaper with his hand out telling you what he wants you to think about with the question mark. And it's like, would you eat a hamburger if the meat was still moving?
Right.
What would you do with undead bugs? Eat them, burn them, capture them, and unleash them on your enemy? What would you smash an undead, 10? Smash or nah, right? I know, just ridiculous stuff. But can undead own property? Yeah. Can you prosecute them for a crime?
What's pregnancy? What are the rules of pregnancy in this universe, by the way?
Your body is dead. You can't get pregnant.
There you go. I was going to say that was.
But, I mean, we've talked about snoo, for lack of a better word, in this world, and with undead, and it's like that's a taboo in this world, but is it a taboo in that world when the new normal? You know what I mean? What if it's your wife or your husband? You have feelings. I don't know.
And they're still themselves, right?
And they know your name. But for how long is that okay? You
now
know
here's
what I
my
mean?
question. Here's the question.
And then is it a new fetish that comes up, and it only works one way?
Yes,
And then
it
now do we have
absolutely
like
is.
this whole nother population of people to exploit because they might be bodily there, but mentally not?
Now here you go. You're in Texas, so this
Yeah.
is going to fall right in line with some of the
Oh,
wonderful
God.
things that are going on in Texas right now. But what happens to a character that dies / undies who's pregnant? What are the rules? What are we talking about there?
Well, the baby would not survive.
Right. All right.
Right. And whatever level of development is where they would stop. So they wouldn't continue to grow. They would decompose, but they would still move.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's an episode I'm curious about.
So bodily
I get all
functions
sorts of
essentially
interesting questions. I'm sorry, Dave.
Oh no, sorry. So bodily functions essentially do stop when you're undead.
They do.
Okay.
You do. You don't have to eat. You don't have to breathe.
But it's
being shot in the head does not do a dang thing. All it does is give you less access to your brain cells, which makes you more chaotic. So as people decay, it's like it follows dementia and fast forward. So you get forgetful. People that were not violent could get violent. They could be vegetative or detached. They could just not care if you're alive or not. What does it matter? Yeah. Does it matter to be alive anymore?
Yeah. Good questions.
It's dangerous. It's a dangerous place.
Good questions.
I mean, this is, and it's really smart because we're coming into the post Walking Dead era of undead and zombie storytelling, right? In our culture, where it's like The Walking Dead is now the new, it used to be it used to be Romero. And now it really is Kirkman Walking Dead, which is like the standard bearer of how you do a grounded zombie movie, but you're grounding it in a way because Walking Dead was all about just the non-zombies.
By the way, if Gail Ann Hurd is out there watching, hey, how's it going?
Hi, Gail. We love you. We're all fans.
We've got products. We've got projects too.
Right, exactly. We've already name dropped you, Netflix. We know you're going through a lot of shit and laid off half your staff already. But
we've got plenty of stuff to pitch it.
When you pick yourself back up again, someone's got something for you. Exactly.
I got ideas.
She does, and it's really smart because The Walking Dead was the whole, what happens if the zombies were basically background, and it was really about the humanity surviving in this apocalyptic wasteland. You're coming at a similar thing in terms of like, this is about how humanity handles it, but you're bringing in the zombies as part of humanity.
And I'm taking it one step further because I'm a big fan of horror and zombies specifically, but they don't usually focus on the why. What happened? What started it? And is there someone out there trying to fix it?
Yeah.
Right.
They usually don't. Even in Walking Dead, they're like, what started this? It's a virus. Everybody has it, but what started? And it wasn't until Kirkman did like an interview. I forget who he did it. He never explained it in the show or the comic. But he said afterwards in an interview, it was a meteor from space that brought a virus and everybody caught it.
Yeah.
Well,
space virus.
Yes. Well, if no one's ever looked up the secret history of The Walking Dead, when Kirkman originally pitched it to Image, he basically had to pretend it was an alien invasion.
Yes.
And he had to say, "Oh, it's aliens," and we'll reveal that in like the second act or something like that. Yeah, a little bit later. And he had no intention of ever doing that.
Nope. and it took off, right? And so Image was just kind of left him alone. And then at some point they were like, "Were you gonna like tell people what the?"
Right.
And he was like, "Nah."
But it makes sense he had the meteor idea because he already had the Image had already said he'd already come up with it to tell Image that it was an alien invasion. So it's like, okay, a meteor bringing the virus, kind of an alien invasion if you think about it in a weird way. It's alien invasion adjacent. It's like the Andromeda strain, if anyone remembers that old story. Yeah.
So, but again, it wasn't even about that. It became more about just the survival and how humans treat each other in the apocalypse when this is the situation, and it's unescapable. You cannot escape it. Once you die, you are a part of the other side. And that's similar here too. There is no escape, but it's like, it's way worse because at least in there you could like shoot them in the head and then they were dead. Here it's like, we could shoot you in the head and it makes it worse. We could separate your body and it continues to move all of the pieces.
Right.
And it's animals, insects, fish, what are we eating here?
Right. Right.
So in terms of how far you've plotted out, where are you? How far ahead are you now? Like, where are
Okay,
we going?
so I want it. The plan is to make it 3 arcs of 12
Okay.
issues. The first arc has obviously been done for a long time. I am 9 issues into the second arc. I need to just wrap up that final act. And I'm playing out different scenarios in my head because there's going to be a giant battle.
Gotta have it.
Writing battles is difficult because you want to make sure that one, the scenery is part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because if the scenery is forgettable, you're going to forget the battle. 2, the characters need to make decisions that drive the story and the battle. It can't just happen to them. They have to be making the choices that drive everything forward. And 3, it's got to end with a bang, everybody, right? And then, of course, I always leave everybody with a twist and a what the F, Laurie, why are you doing this to us? Where's the next one? So it's coming. But I'm so far ahead in the story. It's never, it's a good place because it's not like I have to sit down and write it because we're doing it next. You know what I mean? There's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 before we even start the next arc. But I'm promising you, for as crazy as this first arc is, the second arc is 100% worse.
Looking forward to it.
Needs to be. Yeah.
So I'll be 95 and still making comics, but it's fine. But there is an arc 3 and there is an ending planned. Which I think as a writer is important to know how you're wrapping everything up. It's like Lost versus Breaking Bad. There was a big difference in the finales, right? Because Lost had no idea what they were doing. And then I think the producers were just like, hey, we're going to wrap up in like 6 episodes. Can you do that? And they were like panicked.
Yes. Fun story about, I literally just listened to a podcast this yesterday, Jesus, this week.
Yeah, what day is it? I don't know.
I know exactly. I think it was yesterday, about the what went wrong making of the whole series of Lost. And the fun fact is, originally Lost was pitched to the network to be Tom Hanks' Survivor as a TV show.
Oh, shut up.
It was just meant to be it was just supposed to be a grounded, realistic, nothing weird, nothing crazy, no mysteries, no nothing. But it was going to be a group of people, and it was going to be like Lord of the Flies, but totally grounded.
I mean, kind of, except the smoke monster, and oh my god, we watched that show for like 6 weeks until they opened that hatch.
Exactly. So then they started to, but it went through kind of this like long development hell where the executives were always like, it's not quite right. What is missing? What is missing? And J.J. Abrams. Well, what was missing was like mystery. And then one of the writers, Lindelof, was like, what if half the people don't want to leave the island? And that's interesting. And but they came up with these ideas with only weeks left to make the pilot. So they had to put it all together. They hadn't even cast the fucking thing yet. Then they cast it and they got it together. They shot the pilot, which was the most expensive pilot in TV history.
That's right.
And they got it out the door. And the executives were basically like, okay, it's a hit. This is great. But okay, you know what you're doing, right? There's like the monster and the this and the that. And they're like, and they were like, they had to put it together so fast. They were like, they were all just interesting ideas. They didn't have a plan.
No.
And even when they started to get a plan, then the network basically wanted them to keep going for way longer than they actually thought they were going to do. And then the network was like, and a new mystery every couple episodes. And they were like, what the fuck? So
now what?
To be fair, and to be fair to the writers,
cooks in the kitchen, you know what I mean?
And
they're all trying to drive the damn bus.
Exactly.
And that's what I think is the big difference between like indie, like let's say Image versus, things have been around for a long time and revamped 16 times where now it's like, we don't know where we are in the canon. Telling a story from start to finish. And that's what I intend to do. So I don't know if we're going to end up making 12 issues every arc. If we can continue growing our audience, I might stick, instead of 12, we'll make it 6. We'll just, put more pages in our issues.
Right.
I'm not sure, that could evolve, but the story itself, has a beginning, middle, and an end. And it's a crazy story, you guys. It's just, we're going places with this story.
I like where you go. I definitely like where you go. So
yes,
I was like,
and
you
we
ain't
can
seen nothing yet. I'm so excited to keep going. Like 5 is great. 6 is awesome. 7 is my favorite. When you guys read 7, there's no turning back.
Nice. That's a good number to have that sort of like,
right? It's Horcruxes, whatever. It's 7. It's magical.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
On the quick topic, right before we're going to go take a look at the Kickstarter page, but right before we do
Mhm.
that, you mentioned the short videos, the short films.
Mhm.
And are these so far? You have 4 of them, so is it like 1 per issue? Are you planning to
That's the
keep that
goal.
going?
All right.
Okay.
This last one is taking me a little longer just because if you watch them, like I'm doing a majority of the work. Like I'm
Of
acting, I
course.
make my husband act. Like we're doing voiceover stuff, and my kids are in it. There's not a lot of other people in it.
Yeah.
The first one we filmed, I did have quite a few extras, but it was like smack dab pandemic, and that's the only ones I could get. Like no one wanted to come out, right?
Right.
The second one, there was quite a few people involved, but I still had to like run the show. I was a reporter asking questions. The third one, I wanted to do like psychological horror, and I wasn't getting a lot of volunteers on that one. So again, I'm doing most of it myself. This one, I have actors. I'm so excited. So I get to be behind the camera, I get to direct and edit and do all that stuff. But just the timing of it, where it's just like scheduling and making sure all the gear is there, making sure all the equipment is there. We've done the drone shots, we've done the car gags. There's a couple, I think I have like 3 scenes left. I have 2 with extras that like coming in and out of the house, and then I have the big ending to do, and that's it. So I only have 3 left, but it's just like I have kids, they have kids, and then getting everybody together, finding the time. Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? What were you wearing last time? Let's make sure we have everything ready and a good block of time. It's hard to do. So, but I want to be done with it this month. My publisher, ASAP Imagination, is located in the UK, and he's actually doing a cinema night in May. And so myself and 3 other creators that do what I do, comics and short films, he's going to play all the short films and have our comics there so people can watch the short film and buy my trade paperback from the table.
Very cool.
So really cool stuff. But I got to get it done. So
yeah.
You'll see a ton of videos, and there's a few of them on the Kickstarter. Like I have something called Riddles, Short Films, and Shenanigans, and they're all there. And then of course the riddles are there, and I think there's a video of me from the Slice and Dice because I smash pumpkins and watermelons and destroy things for the fans because they think it's hilarious. So we will definitely do that. And what else is there?
Modern
One
day
of my welcome
Gallagher
videos where I yell at myself. That one's fun too. You can see me get hit by a car in that one as well.
All right, beautiful. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to Dallas is frozen again, so let's just remove
Dallas.
him and bring him back. There we go.
Back, I'm gonna switch weapons at this point, so too.
Oh yeah. Switch weapons, and let's go take a look at the Kickstarter page. I'm gonna share my screen here for everybody.
I try not to hit my microphone. I always do that. That's the problem. Yay!
Just don't. If it's a knife, don't cut the cord of your microphone.
Oh, it's a trainer, so it's not.
Okay, beautiful.
Because I get distracted, I'll be like, "Oh, I'm grabbing it from the wrong side. I just sliced myself."
Oh, great. Jesus! Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh my goodness. All right. So, Path of the Pale Rider. Whoop! Come on.
I know they updated Kickstarter, and that menu is super sensitive now.
It's so sensitive, and it takes the whole bloody screen up every time it drops down. And it's like, okay, Kickstarter, if you're gonna force it to do that, don't have so much to navigate to that it like you can't get out of it if you wanted to. Yeah, it's a problem. Anywho, Path of the Pale Rider, trade paperback 1 through 4. Let's play the video, shall we? After talking about videos all this time. Ba-bum, ba-bum. Beautiful.
Very cool. Very cool.
Shenanigans. And as you can see, everybody, she is well funded. $3,700 out of a $2,000 goal, but 14 days to go. And let's get her even higher because we got a lot more issues to go. We got a lot more to do.
Yeah.
So let's overfund. Let's overfund this bad boy. You have until March 21st, so 14 more days to get in on this. And let's take a look. Here is the main cover. Up of the trade paperback.
Yes.
As we can see,
Marco DeFeo.
And of course,
we talked about that cover for a while. Because of course there's going to be more trade paperbacks too. So as we continue the story every 4 issues, so we made this so we can change out elements and have it still be similar. So Jude is in front of a green disc. The green living line becomes his path. He's in his iconic Western gear, and of course, Big James is the beastie in the Path of the Pale Rider title. So like the next one, we would probably change out the character to an undead character, the disc to a red disc. So the line, they're walking the undead line, and then we'll probably change out the beastie in the words. Because of course we have another terrible thing that happens in the next 4. So but I mean, so it's customizable. So we were intending to make it look like a set. So when there's 3 of them, you put them together and it makes, the visually story as well. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Very, very nice.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
And how did you get with ASAP? How did you get involved with them?
I found ASAP through a friend of mine, George Medina, was with them, and he was on my show and we were talking about Gig at the time. So that's Global Indie Group, and got talking with Hades. Hades and I are like-minded. He's awesome. I can't say enough about Hades. He's wonderful and he's driven, and ASAP has grown, I don't know, 3-4 times the size that they were in a year. And he sets goals for himself and he gets them done. So it was a no-brainer to build that relationship. I had them as digital distribution with issues 1 through 4, and now they're doing the physical copy of the book. So it's great because this opened up international shipping for me as well. So people in the Netherlands or in the UK, Ireland, Australia, Canada, you can get a physical copy through ASAP. And pay a lot less shipping than if I were to ship it for you from Texas. So
right. Nice. Yeah. Beautiful. All right.
I need that tattoo right there.
Oh, right. I was just gonna say I almost stopped on it. It was like another cover, and I'm like, oh man, no, it's not a cover.
That's actually in the interior of our Choose Your Own Adventure book, but it's so freaking cool. That's kind of another unofficial logo, the skull with that symbol on it. So I won't say what it means.
I know. I was gonna say we don't know. Having read issues 1
I haven't
through
told
4,
anybody
don't know
yet.
what it means. Okay.
My stuff is so full of like visual spoilers with no context. It's great.
Right. Easter eggs. If only you knew. If only you had read the parts of the story that haven't been written yet. Right.
Right. Exactly. But here's the thing: is when you get further into the story and you get the explanation of a lot of that stuff. If you go back and reread the story, be like, oh, she's been putting this in here from the beginning.
Yeah. So. All right. And then some interior pages. We can see there's our bad boy right there.
There's our guy.
James. But this is the first time you get to see issue 1 in color. So it's really nice to kind of see it come to life. If you've read the issue in black and white,
It was the only issue that was originally in black and white.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, we started color with issue number 2. But the end of the story, if you know what I'm talking about, with all the red, it hits a little harder.
Nice. All right. Yeah.
Issue 2, that's the town of Santa Claus.
Yep.
And Jude finds Dwayne Fink, the drunk who might know how the apocalypse started, but can you trust him?
And then we just get that first hint, of the past. Yeah. At which point we stay in the past. This is the part that surprised me. I was like, oh shit, we're just staying in the past. We're just gonna see
we're there now. It was so important for me for people to be able to understand the mechanics of this world. Like we got to see how terrible, and we got a glimpse at how terrible it was, and the people aren't friendly, and it kind of devolved to the Wild West. But why why, like, why are people this way? So I wanted to see people to see the confusion and the animals and watching the news report and bad thing, how the government got, how people treat each other, how crazy it all gets. It's 3 and 4 in a nutshell, right?
Yes.
So it's like you get a majority of it, but again, from Jude and his family, they're watching the apocalypse go down. And then at the end of the issue, it comes home to roost. So
yes. Well, and normally in these kinds of stories, you see the apocalypse, you might get a few flashbacks to show you like the extreme before, but like the before, and just when whatever the instigating event might be. But then you don't see a lot of the fallout. You don't see a lot of like, but how did we get to the apocalyptic, moment, like where we started from? Like, how did it actually devolve into that at that point? And I really appreciate that. This is really walking you through it and showing you, at least from our main character's POV, like what is happening and how it got to that point.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that makes this so cool, is because it's different. It's not a zombie apocalypse. It's death being broken. And what are the consequences of that? And it makes you think. So I really wanted to spend some time showing everybody how it all went down, and how confusing, and what makes Jude tick, because this trauma that he goes through in issue number 4 that pushes him out the door kind of defines him in the rest of the story. And then he's out of the frying pan into the fire, and you start to see that there's more going on than what what appears on the surface.
Well, the entire like rebel group, or the undead that are fighting back, in terms of like, we're still people, like really we are still like, we don't know, maybe not in a while, but we are still now, like, rounding us up and caging us when we're still this way is unconscionable.
Right. But when's that line? Because it's different for all of them, and that's the hard part. There is no 2 weeks, it's not like a virus, like it's like, okay, this will run its course in 2 weeks and you'll be fine. It's like we don't know when you're going to lose your mind, and then you will be a danger to yourself and everybody else.
And hits different people harder. Some people are fine 2 weeks later. Some people have, like, going back to the COVID thing, long COVID, which goes on and on and on. And so it's like, there is no one specific. There might be an average way in which it operates, but there's no actual.
Well, that's until we start meddling, because people are meddling, right? So
absolutely.
The undead are trying to pass as human for longer, so they're self-embalming, or they're using chemical and makeup combinations on their skin. In the beginning, when they're the minority, once they become the majority, though, that's when the shift of consciousness, the shift of the new normal happens. And then it's like, who cares if you're undead anymore? You can look any way you want. And they start tattooing their skull, like different things change. So it's interesting to see it all play out.
That it is.
And
I did really appreciate these second two, the issues 3 and 4, for that reason. It put a lot of things into context that were only hinted at in the earlier issue. So all right, beautiful. Why a trade paperback? Why would you
people ask that? And like, I've had people that are like, I'm caught up in the story, right? I have issues 1 through 4, and I'm like, and they're like, okay, why? And I'm like, well, because this is how we want you to read it. Issue 1 is now in color, how we wanted it to be. We just couldn't afford to do it when we started. And then, of course, I'm cramming it full of bonus material. You get portions of the script. You get all of the variant covers that we have run. You get a map of the apocalypse annotated by Jude St. Clair. So it looks like one of those maps you pick up from the old gas station before Google Maps. And he's just drawn, I think. Yeah. And he's just drawn all over it, what has happened, what he knows. So it's kind of his path, and you might get a clue of where he's going ultimately. And then what else? There's journal entries from Jude St. Clair that have not been released. So I give you a gimme. One of the riddles that I have that I did before, it's a freebie. So it'll take you to the answer.
Oh,
Nice.
I love this little interactive corner of the universe here. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
And
that a
here's
lot.
here's that black and white in color. Kind of see the difference between that for that first issue, that it has never
Yeah.
been seen this way before. And I think a lot of the times, like, there have been times that I have skipped a trade paperback, especially if I'm collecting something digitally. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm good. I don't need the bonus material, or I decide I don't need the bonus material. It's a question of whether I actually did. But
Right.
I make that decision for myself. But then you come back for the next issue. But the trade
Yeah.
paperback really, like, for posterity's sake, like, going forward, that is the version of the comic that's going to live on forever. Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason to reprint the individual issues once that trade
Correct.
paperback exists. Yeah.
Correct. That's what's going to happen, people. So, in fact, I ordered the
Become
black and white
collector's
issue number
items.
1 for the very last time when we printed stuff to
Yeah.
fulfill the 4th Kickstarter. There will be no more black and white issue number 1. And there will be no
Nice.
more 2, 3, and 4 issues unless there's a special reason or occasion. But they'll be limited. You know what I mean? Like, once they're out of stock, we're just going to carry issue 1 and the trade paperback. So you can try the issue if you're not sure. Try the story with issue number 1. And then the trade paperback has it all collected. It's cheaper than buying all the 4 of the floppies separately. And then it's great to be able to buy the trade paperback and then issue number 5. You know what I mean? As a catch-up tier. Hi, James. How
Hey,
are you?
James. Boom. Welcome. Yeah.
So that black and white issue number 1 is going to become a collector's item because we're not printing
For
anymore.
sure. Yeah.
And all the individual issues eventually do,
Correct.
especially you're getting them through Kickstarter, and those are like, if there's ever a need to reprint any of the individual issues, they won't be the same edition. They certainly won't be the same printing. So that is why you get the individual issues. And of course, who wants to wait 2 years in between chapters when you can get them on a more regular, ongoing basis? But then that trade paperback is the thing. Like, that's what, if I'm going to put it, especially if I'm getting it physically, I'm going to get that trade paperback and either storage those individual issues and put them somewhere safe. But it's like on the bookshelf, and what I'm actually manhandling on a daily basis is going to be
the trade paperback. 100%.
Yeah.
That's the feedback that I'm getting. So if you're here and you just found us, this is the great time. If you're, returning backer, thank you. And I appreciate you backing all the things and getting all the versions. And if you're going to wait for issue 5, that's cool. We're going to pick that up in a month or so, so I'm perfectly happy. We've already met our funding goal and we're smashing a ton of these stretch goals. So this is just basically cake at this point. We can order more books. And then whatever we don't use goes to issue number 5. We'll get started.
Fantastic, man.
The guys are already itching. They're like, "Could we start now?" Just give it like another week.
Oh, I love this pinup. This pinup's just
Lola pinup.
Ridiculous. I love her.
I know, isn't it? Oh my God. I met Gilbert Perez at Cowtown Comic-Con in Fort Worth last year. And he came over to the table and he bought a copy of every single book I had. Choose Your Own Adventure, like, me them all. And read them all at his table and came back and was like, "I would love to do a variant cover for you." And I was like, "Sadly, we just launched issue number 4 and all the variants, I have them all."
Right.
And I knew I was coming into the trade paperback next. And I was like, "I don't have any variant work, but can you do a pinup?" And he was like, "Of course I can." And then threw this at me. And I was like, "Good God." And I think I paid him more than what he quoted me. And he was like, "You sent me too much." And I was like, no.
I didn't.
That was intentional. Like this thumbs up path. It's like, she's beautiful. She's gross. She's dangerous.
It's the definition of a grotesque. There is something,
but
alluring
his attention to detail, the minutia is so cool. Like her fingers on the bottom right corner. One of them is detached. One of them, you can see the bone. And then the others is like, you can see the sinew and the flesh through it. And it's like, is she smiling? Is she grimacing? What's with the knife? Like, I didn't ask him to put a knife in. He just did it. So I was like, dude, you understand us. And we'll be seeing more of Gilbert, 100%.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, his removed torso here is just
the guts are out. You can see like the vivisection of the flesh, like it's been cut.
He
on a
colored
body
this too,
bag.
yeah?
What's that? Oh yeah,
Did
he
he
colored
color
this
this
too.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not a
Coloring's great.
colorist, but and I was like, not a colorist. I'm like, are you lying? Are you being sarcastic? He's like, no. And I'm like, this is gorgeous. Why would I?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, this knocks it out of the park. So she's beautiful. I love her. I'm also gonna sign these Love Lola and give him a smooch with some lipstick for you.
Cute.
It'll be my lips.
Dying for you, Love Lola.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Can I use that? I love it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then we got button pack.
I need some of these for my hat.
A free button to help survive the apocalypse. And I
Danger
do
button
love
is
a
cool.
button on a button, right? Yeah.
Right?
Always,
It's so funny.
yeah.
And his logo is that white hand below. If you scroll, look at the bottom of the packaging. Where it says danger button, that's his logo. And so he zombified that hand just for our button.
Very nice.
So he does amazing work. He does all sorts of graphic design, and he and I came up with these buttons together. And we had a chuckle at the Big James Burgers, and of course the BS, the ASL BS.
Right.
So us. So all good stuff. We got the living disc, the POTPR skull, the collector symbol. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. Beautiful. And pillow. Oh, of course. Of course. The monster essentially of issue number 1 in a body size pillow.
Well, he's 11 inches.
Okay,
he's not a body size. Oh my God.
Okay. I was going to say that looks very body pillowy. I was like,
it does. And I bet you we could do them that size, but I don't know how much those will cost. Geez.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing the window in the background now. I think I thought that was like a French sliding door type of a thing, and now I'm like, oh okay, now I'm seeing the scale. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I was like, here he is. I got one right here. See, he's this big.
Beautiful. It's still beautiful. It's still a great idea.
And the kids
11
love
inches,
them, which is so weird.
Yeah,
my kids are fighting over him. They're like, I want one. I'm like, well, we'll see how
it's
many
not
are
weird.
left.
It's not. I would have loved it as a kid too. I understand that. I can see it.
James loves Big James because they share a name, so it's funny.
Yeah.
And of course you have a barbecue sauce.
It's a barbecue hot sauce. It's ghost pepper barbecue.
Oh yeah.
I make it myself.
Oh wow.
Ooh. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how spicy is it?
Well, do you eat a lot of hot sauce?
Not a lot. I'm getting so again, I know you're from Michigan too, but I'm from Michigan. I grew up with without flavor essentially, or spices. And it was only in my adult life that now I live in Los Angeles, which of course Southern California has that same influence from Mexico and South America and whatnot in its cuisine. So I've come a long way with spice and hot sauce, and I love Asian hot spices as well. So I've come a long way, but compared to people who live and die by it, I still can't approach some of the things that they can approach. So my guess is I'd probably top out at a 5 to 6 comfortably, and then I might go to a 7, but I would be uncomfortable eating that.
Well,
I could do, yeah.
It has a good flavor.
Okay.
So, but there's a real hot burn in the beginning, and it kind of dies out, and then there's a slow burn at the end that's delicious.
Okay.
So, but it's good on fried chicken and pulled pork, and I had some on. I made ribs the other day in the smoker, and it was delicious. So it has a good bite in the beginning, but then a slow burn. But it is ghost pepper. So, but it's funny because I always have to ask people. They're like, "Is it hot?" And I'm like, "Do you eat hot sauce a lot?"
You're like,
if you do, it's not hot for you.
Right.
It's medium.
Right.
But if you don't, it's pretty freaking hot.
I think it would be, I think it would be hot for me, but doable maybe with that description.
Yeah.
Because I think when
barbecue
it's
base.
Right. I would just say that, do you, I'm assuming maybe you watch the Hot Ones show, or have you seen some of that?
Oh,
so you know how there's that one hot sauce, and it's in the middle. It's not the spiciest, but it's the bomb. Right, that everyone complains that it's just spicy, and there's either no flavor or a shitty flavor, and it's just spicy, and so and so no one likes it, even if they like the stuff that comes after that's even spicier technically.
Yeah.
But everyone hits that bomb, and they're like, oh, Oh,
Yeah, it's
no.
all it is just hot, and it's like
Right.
and some people like that, I don't know. I've had people that have my hot sauce and come back and they're like, "You need to, like, double the heat," and I'm like, "You're nuts." I'm like, "You don't even wanna taste your food," and, like, "It's gonna burn on the way
Right.
out, man."
Right. Yeah,
That's
exactly. Yeah,
gross.
that's no good for me. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but people really like this. I did it for issue number 3, and, everybody ran out, so they're like, "Bring back the hot sauce." I'm like, "Okay," so here it is.
Awesome. Yeah, this is tempting to me. I might have to come revisit this page once we're done tonight and be like, well, I think I
Yeah.
want to try it at the very least.
It's
And like,
really good, and I send it in
yeah,
a 3D printed bottle protector too, which
no,
is
nice.
so
Nice, nice, nice. That is awesome. And
mhm.
yeah, to catch up on a few comments here, James is chiming in. One of the
Mhm.
coolest people I met in Cowtown definitely
Yeah,
was Laurie.
thank you.
James is my favorite character.
Thanks.
And we got hot sauce here in LA. This is true. We have hot sauce. There is I used
Plenty
to
of
live,
that.
we have a quote unquote the original farmers market, which is a farmers market that's it's like established. It's there every day. It's not
It's
a,
at the
once a
Grove.
week
It's
type thing.
basically
Right.
the location is the marquee, the Grove. Yeah.
Right. It's the part of the Grove that's actually fun. And then you actually get into the ritzy, like Beverly Hillsy area that is the Grove. But the farmers market has lots of like affordable things and fun things and ethnic cuisine, like through the roof. And they have one part of it is a just hot sauce station. And I mean, they must have like 200 different hot sauces in that thing. It's kind
Easily.
of insane how many they have. But so yeah, we have hot sauce here in LA. Cameron McNeil, good evening. We getting saucy. Yes,
You're
we are.
getting
And Cameron
saucy,
also
Cameron.
great hot sauce needs a good balance
Mhm.
of heat and flavor.
Very true,
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
Cameron.
you.
yeah,
Very
Thank you.
true.
Thank you.
yeah.
So I just this past week, I also I was shopping at Trader Joe's and they had just released a new item that apparently they had before, but I'd never had it yet. And they have these crispy mochi, kind of a salty snacks that
Ooh,
you can eat, but then they released a spicy version of that. And I was like, ooh, I want to try that. When I was checking out, the
no.
person at the counter was like, oh, this is like the spiciest thing we've ever carried. Like, just so you know.
You're like,
And I was
"Challenge
like, what
accepted.
the? I know. And I was like, okay, but I've been
I'll
getting
have a
more and
glass
more
of
into
milk
spicy
ready."
things. Yeah. So I
No,
was
it's
like, okay,
fine.
maybe this will take me a month to eat, but I might enjoy
Oh
it.
my
So let
gosh.
me, I can have like 1 or 2 bites a
Yeah,
night kind of a thing and then take a break. And
yeah.
I'm okay with that. But
You know what's funny
it
is I just started, I got my food license here in
oh,
Texas.
okay.
So, not only can I do hot sauce, I also do cookies and
Ooh.
breads. So I
Nice.
make these I make macaroons because they're a challenge and I got really good at them. And now I'm starting to play around with flavor. And I was talking with someone at one of my tables and there was like, we want to do a sweet and spicy macaroon with your hot sauce? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna have to do that. So that's
Talk
what that
about
just
challenge
reminded me of. I
accepted.
was like, I need to do that. I need to experiment. Gotta
Yep.
try it out.
Or could we expect some gingerbread undead men?
Dallas, you
Dallas,
are
I just
all
want
good
you
ideas
to
tonight.
think of all these cool ideas and just shoot them to me, please, because I'm gonna continue.
I
I
know.
can 3D print my own zombie cookie cutters. Yes. We're gonna make some zombie
Exactly.
Amazing. Oh my god. But yeah,
or brains.
just to put a capper on that
Ginger
Trader Joe's
brains.
story, they were disgusting though. They
Were
were
they
so
bad?
spicy. There was like the bomb hot sauce. I was like, "Oh god."
Oh
I
no.
literally spit the one bite I took out and I was like, "That's just crazy spicy and there's no flavor otherwise." And I just threw the bag out. I
Oh,
was like,
really?
"Nope, can't do that.
Mm.
Can't do that." So yes, flavor
Oh.
is important. Spicy is fine as long as there's a lot more going on with it, than
Yeah.
just the spice, which is why I don't I mean, I
Yeah.
think it becomes like a fetish, right? Where it's like it's just a kink, where it's like I just love the torture, I love the pain, and it's like, all right, but that's not good eatings, like that's not food,
Right.
really. At that point,
I like to
like,
taste
just
my
stab
food.
yourself in the tongue. Yeah, it's like move on after that.
Staple your tongue? I don't know, something like that. Great. But I plan on doing more hot sauces, I think, and they're all
Ooh,
gonna be
nice,
named
more
after stuff
flavors,
in the comic book, which will be funny, like
beautiful.
The End Is Never Coming,
Good.
and so
That's good.
I'm just gonna hit up Dallas and be like, "Name this."
Yes, the first dozen are free. Then we got to start charging consulting
Yeah,
services.
okay.
That's right.
Creative
It's worth
consulting.
it. It's worth
But
it.
you'll get the first dozen. Sure.
Thank you, James.
Oh yeah, good image there. Good shirt. Good contrast.
And yes, thank you,
color.
James. Just backed it. Boom.
Thank you,
Sweet.
James.
Thank you, James. And yes, this hoodie, that is a great logo / image right there.
Yeah.
That is
They're
super cool.
nice hoodies. They're real thick. I have this design available in a hoodie or in a t-shirt. So like for Dallas where it's cold, you can have the hoodie, and for Dave where it's warm, you can have a t-shirt.
There you go.
Or if you're gonna be Dave and go to Michigan for a week, and
there you go.
Your hoodie with you.
Yes. I was gonna say I'm always bummed. I love the warm weather clothing that I see on Kickstarters all the time, but yeah, it's useless to me. So I never go for it, but I'm kind of like, I kind of want it.
It's nice. I got one for myself. That's the picture my t-shirt lady did of mine. And then I, of course, put it on social media, and everybody's like, we want one. And I was like, okay, all right. Okay, I'll put it on the next campaign. James, I got you. You got the trade, the hot sauce, and you got a James fig? Cool. I got those in the add-ons.
That's a cool.
Beautiful. Love the shirt. Wish you had a zip-up hoodie. Zip-up hoodie would be even cooler. More expensive, but cool.
Next round.
I'm not sure about zip-up. I got to talk to my shirt lady what she can do there. But beanie for sure we can do.
Oh my God, damn, I know. Even correction had a typo. It's like at that point you're all you know what I fucking meant.
It's funny. We got you, James.
All right, and the Las Vegas glass tumbler.
Yeah.
Yes,
I found them. So I found this image as a reference image for Marco DeFeo in the first issue. Yeah, and then I found them, so I can order them. They go out of stock though. I was only gonna do a few, but then my mom was like, I don't just want one, I want two. I want a set. And I was like, all right. So I opened them up for add-on as well. So if you get one of the other levels and you want to add on a glass tumbler, you can. So
all right. Beautiful.
Get
them now while they're
what does it mean?
In stock.
What does it mean?
Oh, yes. And these limited edition mini black and white trade 1 through 4. These are very cool.
I have been making these.
Yeah.
Because they're fun to make. But this is the size. So they're little, but it's a full trade paperback. I don't have the bonus material, it's just the story. But it's of course I would disappear. But it is the whole comic 1 through 4. And they're all individualized. Like the interior paper is all different. And then people get to pick their own color. So this lady picked the purple book cloth and the light green skull. And then the pattern is the same. And then I have like, if you pick a color for your skull, the paper matches. So red paper for the red skull. And I also bind the signatures with that same color. So on the inside of this book, it has red binding for the pages.
That's super cool.
These are so cool, and no one else is doing these right now. So people are loving these. I got some really cool. So I ordered a guillotine off of Amazon, and as funny as that sounds, it's one of those old teacher paper cutters.
Oh yeah.
But of course I play on the internet, and I'm like, I ordered a guillotine from Amazon. You can order anything these days, and people are just like, what the heck, Laurie? Of course you would. But I'm having a lot of fun with these. I love these, and I want to do more. I want to make more. So
yes. All right.
That
and
level
those are
with just the trade are actually sold out. However, there's a kitchen sink level. Keep going. This kitchen sink level.
Was that it? Yeah.
The kitchen sink level gets one of these along with one of everything. So I have 3 spots of those available. If in another week those spots have not gone, I will open up those 3 spots for first come, first serve. So you know what I mean? Like for the books and for those plushies. I think there's 1 plushie spot left for the plushie and trade. And then, but there's 3 of these ultimate packages left. So
good idea. Okay. Very good idea.
And if someone gets that in addition to what I had to offer, then guess what? I'll just order some more.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, these things are. I saw a video that you posted when you were showing them off earlier, either yesterday or today, and it stopped me in my tracks a little bit. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what the hell is that? And I had to take a closer look. So these are beautiful, guys.
Yeah,
100%.
they feel super good in your hand too. Like they're hardcover. It's like it's ASMR, totally 100%, right? Where it's like you can, and then
Actually, there's another ancillary little area for you there, creating an ASMR podcast for Pat
hate
the Pill
ASMR.
For
I do too, to be honest.
An
My husband
in-world
listens to it,
in-world
and I'm just like,
ASMR.
it's like fingernails on the chalkboard for me when they're like, and I'm gonna talk about pickles right now. And I'm like, change the channel.
Now
imagine
the dead characters in your piece creating your own podcast, their own ASMR. That's that'd be interesting.
What do they listen to? Good God.
Right.
Or people who are into listening to them slowly decompose and like try to talk through a jaw that's like falling off. Who knows?
My ear just
we had a cover with that. Did you see it? There's a little girl holding a hot dog and she got no lower jaw. Her tongue's just hanging out. It's like,
oh, nice.
Funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. We have some James was referring to the little I have a Big James miniature.
Mm-hmm. Yes, James figurine. Yeah.
Yes, did I 3D print those? I can either send it to you fully painted because I can paint it for you, or if you just want me to prime it and you want to paint it yourself, that's an option as well. The poker cards, we unlocked one poker card. This is an ongoing thing. Yes, the 3D, that one.
Yeah.
The poker card is an ongoing thing from campaign to campaign. We're working our way towards a 52 card deck. I came up with this with issue 3, right around 100 backers. So we've unlocked 3 cards since then. And now we unlocked a 4th one. So if you are missing some of these, like you back on this campaign and you get the Joker, it comes free. But if you want the other 3 that we've gotten, they're in the add-ons. You can just add them on real quick.
Okay.
My intention is to have everybody can have their own deck of cards when we get to the end, not just.
Oh, of course he's the Joker. Yeah.
Of course, it's Dwayne Fink with his beer spilling is the the first Joker. And so we'll continue to flip these over when we go up every 50 backers. So we are at 63. Nice. We need 37 more to unlock
37. That. Well, 30. Oh, because you just got James. Does he count?
We're at 63.
Yeah. Still 63. Okay, so you were at 62. Now you're at 63, I suppose. Okay.
Good stuff.
Ba-dum.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So that's the backer stretch goals, and then we have dollar stretch goals as well. We've been killing those, man. We unlocked like 2 in 2 days, and then the next one came like 2 days later. I was like, good Lord. So of course, I love doing indie PDF bundles, because the digital backers can get this too. So it's frustrating to me, like if someone's in Australia and they don't want to do the physical copy through ASAP, they just want the digital, but then they miss out on all the cool stretch goals. So I always make sure my first stretch goal, so we always hit it, is this indie PDF bundle. And I'm doing them a little differently. I have them in chunks by publisher. So of course I'm part of Any One World. The creators there was 5 of them that donated their issue 1s to the campaigns. So you will be getting all of those. And then of course I have the link. So if you get really into Baylor and you're like, God, I love this, where do I find this, Laurie? Instead of having to Google, I just gave you the link. You can go right to the website and get more.
Nice.
Yeah. So it makes it, those are all super great. I've read all of those. They're really good.
We have Baylor creators coming on first week of April, I believe. We just booked him. So yes, Peter for sure. He's the one I've been talking to, and then I'm assuming maybe it'll be both of them, but we booked him, but I've got to make sure what the who's actually going to be present.
Gotcha. So it's a super cool premise. I got to talk with Amy, and she's just a blast. I think I have Peter coming on one of my shows next week. So.
Very cool. Okay.
Really,
I'll see
all really good stuff.
for you to come see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we unlocked now every time we unlock another stretch goal, we unlocked one of these. You know what I mean? So as we keep growing, we get another bundle.
Right.
I have one more bundle that we have not unlocked yet.
That's brilliant.
So
Gotcha.
Charter Comic Bundle, again, with the link. So if you're interested in any one of these titles, you can go to the link and get more. A Mother's Whisper is really warped, so enjoy that one. Psycho Sal, William Russell that was here earlier, that's his series, which is super cool. And I actually wrote 4, 5, and 6 of that series for him.
Okay.
And he changes perspective in the story every 3 issues. And it's live on Kickstarter right now for issue number 6. And when I say it's the most devastating thing I've ever written, the most vulnerable, the most disgusting, it will make you feel all the feels, and it has such a great end. So that's available right now too on Kickstarter.
Okay. Yeah,
William Russell, you can pay me $20 later.
All right, and the horror bundle down below,
Avaline
which will
Race
be unlocked.
Waterville.
Nope, that's been unlocked too. Son of a bitch. All
Yeah,
right,
those are all unlocked. I have one from Inked Marketing that I don't have up there yet, and that will unlock when we have 4,000.
Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
Boom. And then also the 3D printed wooden disc keychain already unlocked.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
And
Slice and Dice event.
Yes, this is a blast. And my fans are coming up with some really creative ways for me to kill. I think we're gonna do a pineapple this time. We've done a watermelon. So the gig is that I poll the audience and they get to name the fruit or vegetable, and then they get to vote on a weapon of destruction. And I leave the poll open where they can make suggestions too. And if it's something that I could physically do, I could take it into consideration and do it. I did a soup can in a sock once because that was doable. Other people put crazy stuff like smash it with the stop sign. Like, I don't.
Right.
And like stop light, like a big with the blinking lights. And I was like, okay, that sounds fun. We're not doing that. So I did the first one. It was a watermelon named King Joffrey Baratheon. I dressed up as Pikachu. I sang Game of Thrones as Pikachu. And then we sliced it into like 35 pieces with the Filipino short sword. Last one was a pumpkin named Ichabod Craven, again with the Pikachu. We tried to light it on fire. It didn't quite work. So we're going to light the next one on fire. And they voted Sledgehammer. So that definitely met its maker. There's a video below of me smashing the pumpkin with the sledgehammer. That was fun. So... But temporary tattoos are the next one. The POTPR temporary tattoos. Free samples of the hot sauce are up for grabs with the packets. Nice. I make packets.
That's cute. Jesus.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's different. I always come up with different stuff. Stickers and buttons and bookmarks are great, but everybody does them. I want to do the stuff that's different.
Yeah.
And then of course I would love to get to these bear enamel pins. If we can get there, that would be great. They're going to be Big James ones. So even though he looks friendly, mine ain't going to look like that, but it's sample. And then if we get there, then I'll have to think of more stretch goals. Damn it.
You should not that it doesn't take place. If you ever have a story that takes place in California, you got to replace the California bear with your bear and do like an image or a pin or something like that.
Don't tread on me.
Oh yeah. See, James, I would love a Big James pin. Enamel pins are hot right now too. Everybody loves those. So anyway, yes.
And riddle short films and shenanigans. So here's where the rabbit hole starts.
Yes. You could fall into this world and interact with it like it's real. Every single back cover of an issue is a riddle, and these I put a lot of thought into. They're gonna, like it says there, it's gonna enhance your experience. So again, if you just want to read the comic, that's the meat and potatoes. That's Jude St. Clair's story through this, and you'll get everything. But like I said, with the short film, we explore things that we don't have time to explore in the comic, or Jude isn't there. I can't show you things that are happening on the other side of the world because Jude isn't there.
Yeah.
We have ASL in the book, so it made sense to write one of the riddles. This one, if you solve this one, triggers something to show up in your mailbox.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And out of curiosity, do you have any background with ASL yourself, or is this something you just had to research for the comic?
Yes and no. I don't have any hard of hearing or deaf family members, but I have several aunts that were interested in learning ASL and were teaching ASL when I
Hmm,
was a kid, so I was
okay.
exposed to that. Um, I just think it's super interesting. And Jude is what they call a CODA, CODA, child of deaf adult.
Yes.
And actually, when I was at Texoma on March 24th and 25th, and I got talking to someone at the table, and he was a CODA. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "This book, you're gonna see yourself in this book." And he does the things that Jude does that are super sarcastic.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
he swears at people with his hands, and they have no idea what he's saying. Like, it's
Right.
totally what they do. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so I handed him this and I flipped it over to the back and he solved the riddle standing at my table. It was so cool.
Very
So
nice.
I got to fulfill that on Monday because he was there. He bought copies. He's sent the answer and I sent him the things. So it's cool.
Beautiful.
hmm This
Green
one.
plate. Oh yeah, and all the.
It's a
Oh
QR
my
code
goodness.
scavenger hunt. What's great about this is you don't have to solve anything. You just scan it and have fun. It's a bunch of videos on YouTube, but it's like the trailer to The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Train to Busan. There's a
Yeah.
Rickroll in there. There's the Swedish chef making hot sauce. There's He-Man
Very
singing
nice.
Four Non-Blondes. It's either funny or it's related to Path of the Pale Rider. But one of
Thematically related in some
Yes,
way. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. One of these is a short film from myself. And it's like if you found a video from Anonymous, like you were accidentally clicking around on YouTube and stumbled upon a video from Anonymous. That's what it is. It's a little
Hmm.
creepy, but
Okay.
again, that's how we roll.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
see if you can find it.
All right.
Beautiful. Oh my
This next
goodness.
one is a riddle. Pick me up to call, but hope it's not for you. You are just a number. Dun, dun, dun. This one works.
Interesting.
That's all I'm gonna say. If you solve it, do it. See what happens.
All right. All right.
It works.
And here's the okay, and then
Yeah.
we've got some
So
of the
here's the
videos
short
down
film.
below.
Here's the short films. The first one we did was a commercial for Pine Fox, the undead retirement community.
Gotcha.
Because of course in the West, when you die, they bury you in a pine box. So um it's what my take on what the world wants you to think is going on with the white picket fences and if it's all right and everything's okay and there's peace and serenity. But then the commercial keeps getting interrupted by riots and violence and things on fire. And um, so what's really happening in the world versus what, society wants you to think should be happening and the distance between the two. um, so that was really interesting. I wish there was so many things that I learn every time I do a short film. And this one, it was like I thought I was doing enough, but I needed to exaggerate certain things more. So I think
Right.
it could have been more impactful if there was certain over the top makeup, or I had ideas of things that I could have executed that didn't play out. Like there was just so much more. I could have taken it up like 3 more levels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still very good.
Yeah.
And it was our first one, of course, but this one's the shortest one. I think it's only 2 minutes. After that, they start getting longer. So this one is the conspiracy theory short film. I'm a reporter. My husband's the news anchor. I go out and I interviewed the fans. This is the great part because nobody has any idea what broke death at this point. So they were just making up whatever they thought. And it was really
Nice. Yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
you
That
know?
is cute.
And this is the one I get run over by the car at the end. So
Okay.
good times.
Good times and call to
Yeah.
action.
This one is Call to Action, and it's the psychological thriller. It's a dinner party, and people are canceling on this poor lady who is trying to cook dinner for this 12-person dinner party, but they're saying stuff like, "Are you watching the news?" And she's like, I don't care. Like I'm trying to cook for." So she's oblivious to things that are happening. Something is
Right.
happening. And then so you see all these other people who are doing like watching a movie, painting their nails, on their computer. And then this signal, this call to action happens, and it takes over all of their electronics. And then stuff starts to happen after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a quick aside, I remember when the pandemic happened and the lockdowns first happened, I had been hired in a fully remote position like 4 months before everything went down.
Mm.
And so I was already working entirely just by happenstance, that
Yep.
was my life. And for the first, like, all through that month of like end of February and all the month of March, I kind of didn't know anything was happening until I looked at the news.
Oh my
And it
God.
was it was just completely, I was like, oh yeah, weird shit's happening.
Oh my God.
Life was just my life for those weeks. And it wasn't until they started doing like the social distancing lines to get into a grocery store and,
Yeah.
things that actually were regular and every day. And then, of course, everyone started working from home. And then everything, like, then it sort of became a real, much more obvious thing. But I feel for this woman in this short because I'm like, yeah, that was me. That was me. I was
Yeah.
like, everyone was freaking out, and I
Yeah.
was kind of in my own little
In your
bubble
own
and just sort
lane,
of,
like,
yeah,
just trying to continue, and that's what she was doing too. She was like, "Why everybody keeps canceling? She's pissed off because everybody's canceling on her party, but totally oblivious that the world's
right.
probably on fire.
Yep.
And she's in danger and can't do anything about it until it's too late.
Right. Right. Beautiful. And then, of course, slice and dice.
Slice
We're
and
down.
dice. You can see me smash a pumpkin to O Fortuna, the Karina Burana. Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
And then this was my welcome video from last campaign that is kind of like my fan. It's become, I don't know what to say. Like they quote parts of this video to each other, which is so funny. But so in the second short film, The Conspiracy Theory, at the very end, the reporter gets run over by a car. And that's
and
this character coming
dies.
back
Yeah.
undead. So it's
Yeah.
me playing me, trying to do the welcome video, like, "Hi, I'm writer creator Laurie Calcaterra, Path of the Pale Rider, blah blah." And Ellie Brock, who is undead, is chaotic, and she interrupts me, and she tries to take over the the talk, and she shouts things like consequences and chicken nuggets at me, and so now my fandom will scream consequences and chicken nuggets at each other. It's funny. Yeah.
Very nice.
All right.
So,
Very
but those
nice.
are all
There's
fun. You
Steam.
guys can watch them later,
Oh yeah.
but I just, it's part of who we are and what we do. So it's great to just put them there, and then people can kind of explore as they will.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a me, Mario.
It's a you. So we know that we know
There's
Laurie.
Marco.
We've been getting to know Laurie this whole time, but here is Marco.
Here's Marco. Great artist, super funny. Half the time, like the stuff that you see in the back, you got to look at the background of the comic because he's drawing things in there he just puts them in, and they're funny. Like he drew a singing bass into the saloon in issue number 2, and I was like, is that singing bass on that pole? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, there's a toilet in a tree, and I'm just like, really? He was like, It's just really funny.
Gotta entertain yourself as an artist, don't you?
Yeah.
A little bit when you're just
look
grinding out the
around,
pages.
he just does funny stuff. He'd be like, is that what I think it is? Yeah, it is. He puts stuff there. And then of course there's Matt Chambers.
Yeah. That's a great shot of Matt Chambers, by the way. That's a great little.
I know. Look at all his books behind him. I was like, damn.
Good shot.
Berserk, and I'm not sure, is that Vagabond up top? I think that's Vagabond.
Yes, it is.
I was just like, those look fancy.
I'm just going off of the art there. I'm pretty sure that's Vagabond manga. Yeah. All right, beautiful.
Rachel.
So, manga fan right there. It's funny. He's a colorist, and he's got all the black and white books behind him. Right.
That's funny. And Rachel, of course,
and
she's been our editor since the beginning. She only let me put her picture up on the page last campaign. That's how they are.
Yeah. Oh, well, a lot of writers kind of have to suck it up and get used to it because, of course, they're often one of the figureheads of the whole thing. But yeah, writers and editors they're not in love with the fact that they have to put their headshot everywhere. Not most.
True. Rachel was like, do I have to? And I was like, people know you're involved, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I'll put it on the page.
All right. And then, of course, how funds are used. But most of us are probably old enough hands at Kickstarter that, like, we kind of know how this is breaking down. Yeah.
Yeah. Typically on our campaigns, more than 50% goes to art production, but the art's already done. So now it's the print job. It's print job and then fees, merch, shipping. That's it.
Beautiful.
Super easy.
Amazing. And of course, they had that note to Canadian International.
Link. Yes, this is the link. If you are international and you would like to get a physical copy, you click on that link to the Laurie Calcaterra collection. Say that 3 times fast. And then you could order a physical copy of the trade paperback. Now, if you're a Canadian backer and you want merch, I can ship it to you. I don't have it open here, but I will open up a reward with your name on it, a 1 of 1, and I will include everything that you want. And I will weigh it so that way we know exactly what the shipping is instead of trying to guess.
Good idea.
Because I don't want to overcharge anybody. It's super expensive, and I can't afford to undercharge anybody. Oh, there goes Dallas. So if anybody is in Canada and wants not only just a trade paperback, but like a hoodie or a hot sauce, I can do that. We just got to talk about it first. That's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dallas, we can't see you.
I know. Did you turn your video off, Dallas?
No. Am I gone? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hold on a second. Reboot. Reset. Yeah. All right. We're just we got nothing from you, but let's see what happens if we
hear you though.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
You're just a black square now for some reason.
Yeah.
I think maybe StreamYard must be like.
I think that's racist, but.
Damn. He's like, yeah, well, you're a white square. Take that.
No AI used.
No
but
chonky bears.
Of course. No chonky bears. Yeah, and Worthy Chaos Redemption.
Yeah, she launched on March 4th. So I need to put her. I've just been so busy. There was Texoma and then right into our launch. And I always do a ton of podcasts the first week. We're into the second week, and it was my birthday yesterday. So I've just been running.
Happy birthday,
running. Thank you.
Nevertheless, you got her link there.
Yeah. So her link is there, but I usually do like title, picture from the campaign, and then like the description with the link. And I usually have quite a few on there so people can see, directly from my page what I recommend.
Right.
So
And
of course, I'm partnering with Inked. They are doing some social media blasts and press kit for me. It's just to kind of give me a bigger footprint. So, but they do have a bundle, one of those PDF bundles that is coming. So we'll get one from them too.
Yeah. Yeah. Gorgeous. All right. Anything else about this massive kind of insane campaign? Let me tell you of so much.
It's a lot. Just make sure you guys go look around the add-ons. I got stuff in there like you can get issue 1 floppy in color because that hasn't been available. I got like the minifig of Big James. A lot of the tiers that you see, you can also add on. So if you want one of the exclusive plushies, but you also want one of the glasses, you can do that. If there's anything on the campaign that you don't see that you want, please let me know, because a lot of times people always ask me for like prints of like cover art or prints of things, and I can do that. You just have to let me know what you're looking for. I always communicate. And then if you're not going to get one of the kitchen sink ones, wait a week and I will open up the whatever's left to the rest of the campaign. So 10 days left, I'll open it up.
Great.
All right, man.
Yeah, there's Dallas. Hi.
Hey, you're back. Okay, good. I was hoping that would happen as soon as I stopped sharing, or I was going to take you down and put you back up after the screen sharing and be like, maybe that'll bring him back. All right, so on that note, it's time to reveal the wines we paired with this insane comic book. Dallas, do you want to kick us off and do the honors?
Actually, I think it's your turn.
Oh,
is it my turn? Okay.
And I've seen you drinking at least 2 different varietals, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna
indeed.
We got a living version and a dead version. There we go.
Yeah, I have my guesses, but go for it.
Okay, so I have a top choice, and it is the red wine that I'll reveal first. I have a backup. I kind of naturally had a backup because I was kind of uncertain between 2, but I realized the red version is not available anymore to anyone. So I could pair it and reveal it. and everyone would just have to wait until they release the next vintage of it. It's not currently available anymore. So I was like, okay, that's not fair. That sucks. But it is kind of my favorite pairing. I think it's a perfect one. So I am going to reveal it. And then I've got my backup, which I'll talk about there. But
all right.
My number one is this red wine right here. And it is one of my first thoughts when I was reading Path of the Pale Rider was to do something along the lines of a warm climate Pinot Noir. And the reason I was thinking that is Pinot has a delicacy to it. It's got a lightness, but also in warmer climates, it can still be rich. It can still come through with a certain power and intensity while maintaining sort of that lighter color, lighter body. And then the complexity of, you get the fruit flavors, but Pinot is never fruit dominant. You get a lot of these like herbaceous notes. You get some like earthy notes that kind of get churned in there. So I was like, okay, warm climate Pinot, maybe. Then I remembered, here's a fun fact about Pinot. It's almost never used in blends. You don't blend Pinot in anything. If you get a red blend, Pinot Noir is almost certainly not in there. And the reason it normally isn't is it gets overpowered by everything else under the sun. Most other red wines will just sort of wipe it. Like, it's in there, but it's basically just the other wine that you're tasting, and the Pinot's like extra water that's just been kind of added into it. So it doesn't work very well. And so most of the time you don't do it. The only time Pinot is regularly used in a blend is when it's used. It's actually one of the main grapes in Champagne. So if you just don't soak it on the skins, it stays white. And you're either, Champagne is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and it's either a blend of the two, or if you ever get a Champagne that says Blanc de Noir, that's all Pinot Noir. And if you ever get a bottle that says Blanc de Blanc, that's all Chardonnay. If it doesn't say either of those two things, it's a mixture of the two of some kind, and you have to look up the winemaker's website to find out what the hell they put in there. But every once in a rare while, I know of only 2 red blends that actually do have a large amount of Pinot in it. And this is one of them. And it is a 55% Pinot Noir, 45% Cabernet Sauvignon that is in there. And it is fascinating. It is from Santa Barbara. So Santa Barbara is actually, it's warm by global standards. It's still California. It's still kind of Southern California, but it's very coastal. So it gets a lot of that maritime climate. It's cool for California. If you ever visit Santa Barbara in California compared to anything around Santa Barbara, which is much more deserty and hot and just scorching throughout the summer, you hit Santa Barbara and you're on like nice, cool breeze beach territory the moment you hit Santa Barbara. And most of the vineyards are very nearby there. So you get this cooler climate. And this is a wine. And this was something I actually didn't realize. I'd forgotten that this winery named this blend this, but it is a wine called Cowboy Surfer.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot that was the name of it. So it is from this Bunter Spring winery. It is Cowboy Surfer, as I said, 55 Pinot, 45 Cabernet. And I'm going to read what it says here on the bottle, because it basically says Pinot and Cab seldom complement each other. Pinot and anything seldom complement each other.
Agreed.
Our first Cowboy, the 2014, only happened thanks to some very unusual Pinot Noir. People loved it and kept asking for more, but we couldn't make more until we in 15 or 16, and this is the 2017, until 2017, where an organic Cab vineyard high in Caramel Valley and a Pinot vineyard 10 miles closer to the ocean gave us something special. This is, it's all basically cherry, raspberry, a term that a lot of people call garrigue, which is like fresh churned earth and like a mushroomy flavor and things like that are in there. But they basically had to keep waiting until they could find really whacked out Pinot and really whacked out something else. And then they worked well together, but they were not typical of either of those grapes just because of the vintage. And there's vintage variation in wine. So what was the weather like that year? Was it, was there more rain, less rain? Was there more sun, less sun? Was it super windy, which actually really affects how grapes grow, which is we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of that. This is not a wine class, even though it kind of sort of is, but not too much. So this Cowboy Surfer, it's got the delicacy of the Pinot in there, and then that extra like oomph of the Cabernet, but they really do blend together. There's something about these two vintages of these two grapes where you get all that delicacy of the Pinot, and then Cabernet Sauvignon. Now in Napa Valley, it's a monster of a wine. It's like a beast of a red, and it's infamous for being so. But this is a cooler climate cab, and so this is also going to be something that is going to be more delicate. A little lighter in body, a little lighter in color, not quite as tannic. And this is a 2017, so it's already got like 7 years of age on it at this point. So it's mellowed even from when it was originally released. And there's not a lot of harshness to it, but there's a lot of layers. It's silky. It's smooth, and that is like the writing of this comic and the art. Like you read it and it just flows. You're just go, go, go pretty much from page 1, but there's a shit ton going on. And if you read it, you can read it too quickly. I think when I first like kind of jumped between issues 1 and 2 and into 3, I was starting to breeze and almost like barrel through it. Yeah. And I had to stop myself and go back a little bit. And I was like, wait. I don't think I feel like I've started to breeze, like I'm on autopilot and I need to stop and go back and like take a little more time. And then I got a lot more out of it. This is a wine that like you could chug, but you don't want to, because there's so much to appreciate in it. And it's such a rare thing to find in the wild that you extra specially want to appreciate it. So for me, I feel like this was representative of both the experience of reading it and sort of what those elements are in the book. And I'm glad I found a red that worked, because I do think the intensity of reds also match the intensity of the work, even though my backup, and this is something everyone can find, was an Oregon Pinot Gris. And this is the white wine I was drinking. This is an Ashland, Willamette Valley Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris is the same grape as Pinot Grigio. So it's the same thing, but they call it Pinot Gris in America. They call it Pinot Grigio in Italy. And Pinot Grigio often, it's been kind of overproduced and gone very industrial over in Italy. So a lot of Pinot Grigio is kind of weak and not, it's easy drinking, but there's not
accessible.
A lot. Yeah. There's a reason it's kind of thought of as like the soccer mom wine at this point, where it's just sort of like, you can just have a glass or two, like get you through the soccer game and your kids or whatever. And it's like, it is really easy stuff. Willamette Valley, Oregon, this is going to be a warmer climate than it is normally over in Italy, where they grow Pinot Grigio. So you're getting a much richer version of that type of Pinot Grigio. You're getting much more like peach and apricot for the fruit flavors. And I mean, like to the point where it's almost a little bit jammy, but then you've got this bright acidity that just sort of cuts through it and keeps it light, and you don't get weighed down by it. It doesn't become heavy. You can drink glass after glass after glass, but then that fresh, ripe fruit does slow you down a little bit. It's not something that you can, a lot of that overproduced Pinot Grigio is like water, and you can just, you drink it way too fast. And this is something that you savor, and every sip you're like, ooh, that's a lot. That's good. And you don't need another sip for another minute or two. And so I was very close to doing this but then when I found my Cowboy Surfer, I was like,
it fits too well.
Excellent. But everyone can find this. We're waiting. This 2017 vintage, I went to the website, Bunter Springs. They're sold. It's gone. It's all sold out. There's no more. So we have to wait for them to find another vintage of that Pinot Noir blend. And it's funny, quick side note, we have Richard Fairgray coming on tomorrow. If anyone's familiar with Richard Fairgray and his comics, he does a comic called The Ex-Wives of Frankenstein, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And there is only one other Pinot Noir and something else blend that I'm aware of, and it's fitting with his tomorrow. That is bizarre to me. That is rare. And it's the only two versions of a Pinot Noir blend that I even know in the world. But this is one of them. So that's my pairing. Dallas, take it away.
Yeah, I like that. I could see that. Very complex. Can get a little deep and earthy on the bottom. All right, I like it. I'll take it. I'll
Okay.
accept it. I'll
You'll
allow it.
accept it.
All right. So in my pairings, I keep reiterating this, but it's either the wine I want to drink as a character inhabiting the world. So, basically a Where's Waldo that's just sort of in the background, leaning against a wall, watching the action. I'm never going to jump in and help anyone. I'm never going to add anything, but I'm going to watch it all just play out.
You're like,
Or,
wow, look at him
yeah,
fall down. Like,
yeah, 100%.
that looked like that hurt.
Oh, they're gonna kill each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the wine I want to enjoy on the couch whenever I'm reading it. And I decided it's the beverage, the drink I would enjoy as a character in the world because, like you said, this world is pretty interesting. And I think one of the things that is going to resonate is that people are going to want to see themselves in this world as it plays out. As we discussed earlier, this real sort of terrestrial kind of concept that's happening and playing out, the specifics and logistics of the next day of, the reality of the world and the existential kind of, far out there. And I like the interplay between those two things. So I initially thought I wanted something that was really astringent, for lack of a better term, something that, required a little effort to really kind of enjoy, because with all this sort of quote unquote death adjacent realities happening in the world, I might need something to kind of just, take take a little of the consciousness out of it. And and a good wine, I think, can do that, particularly one that requires a little effort to enjoy. So I knew for me that element is generally the tannic structure of a wine. If the tannins are really, really coarse, it takes a lot for me to really kind of enjoy it beyond a half glass. And a couple of wine classes and varietals, this one in particular, are known for their really coarse tannic structure. And if anyone doesn't understand, the idea of a tannin is essentially, I heard one sommelier discuss it as imagine some sort of particulate, really fine sort of, for lack of a better term, sand, drinkable sand.
Yes.
Sometimes the granules are really, really fine and almost silky, and they just lie on the tongue, sort of like the really soft sand at a white beach. It really just sort of envelops you, and it feels like one singular kind of cloth. And then there are other tannins that feel coarse, like quartz, that are just, they're slapping your palate and your tongue around, and
right. It's like cementing your mouth shut.
Yes.
My comic slapped you in the mouth.
And so for me, that sort of that area that requires a little attention to really enjoy is the tannic structure. And the Tannat, if anyone is familiar with the Tannat, it takes a lot for me to really, really enjoy the average Tannat. And I don't know why I can't explain it, but it just does. Unless I'm having a really fatty, really exceptionally fatty meal. And initially I thought Tannat, I could see myself enjoying a Tannat with this world. But then I remembered the reality of this world is that there is a lot of sort of death adjacent realities happening, and it might not smell so great.
This is true.
It might not smell so
bad.
He's like, I'm gonna pick a wine that it's gonna be hard for me to enjoy. It's gonna smell like shit. I'm like,
oh, cover the smell of everything else.
Precisely.
Dallas, I'm not sure I should be insulted by this pairing.
No.
The worst tasting wine you can think of. That's what goes with
funny
it.
though, I think when you're talking to a wine nerd, you can still take it as a compliment because we're
it's all practical. It's all practical. So we've considered all the angles, but
okay.
So I decided I wanted something that had a really strong nose. I mean, Nose was its dominant sort of feature. And so because of that, you kind of have to venture outside of the traditional concept of the popular wine. And we move into something that's sort of wine adjacent again. And so this is a non-traditional pairing again, not really, but really. And I decided I needed something that had such a complex nose, such a strong nose, such a dynamic nose, that it was going to distract from the possible funk that was omnipresent in this world. And what immediately came to mind was, of course, a vermouth. Now, if those who don't understand, a vermouth is essentially sort of a wine adjacent.
Wine adjacent.
Yeah, it's wine adjacent that's sort of gussied up with lots of aromatics. And I had a vermouth in the fridge, but it just wasn't strong enough. And I remember having this particular Spanish vermouth that, if I'm not mistaken, had like 150 different aromatics and herbs in one bottle. It just is so undeniably
someone's ancient proprietary blend.
Essentially, yeah.
That is.
Wow.
It's a Spanish vermouth. It is a black vermouth, so a vermouth negre is the technical term. Just some of the aromatics. It has bitter orange peel, chacona bark. There's I think it's called a gentian root. All these crazy herbs. There's cinnamon, licorice, tons of stuff you've just never heard of. It spends like 6 or 7 months in an oak. It's honestly, it's fantastic. Again, I'm a guy who enjoys vermouth just by the glass on its own.
Yeah.
In general, it's used as a mixer, a blend with other alcohols.
Right. I will say though, when they have that much that it's steeped in, they tend to be better on their, like, that's when they're really good on their own. When it's like there's that much that's been brewed into it, and it's amazing.
Sure. And it has a really sweet undertone. It's kind of, for those who are familiar, it probably rings true to the sherry kind of space. It is very approachable, but the nose on this guy it's so fragrant, it's so pleasant and complex, and it forces your olfactory to just kind of work overtime. And I imagine that's something I would need in a world like this, because I'm really sensitive to smell.
And it's like, it's your potpourri, right? It's your potpourri in a glass. Like you're sort of like hold it under your nose.
Precisely. Like that menthol they put under their nose.
Yes, exactly.
And I went with the Casa Mariel Vermouth Negre. I don't have the bottle, but I remember distinctly the taste and experience of this fucking vermouth. It's Vermouth Negre black, and it's kind of fantastic.
Say the name one more time. Casa
Mariel Vermouth Negre. I'll send you the links.
Okay. And we'll put a link down below.
But it is fantastic. I like it with a little slice of lime, and I had it with some ice, and that was it. I'm sold. So a little non-traditional pairing. But you're going to need something to counteract the undying flesh that's everywhere.
It's funny because depending on where you are, like the town of Santa Claus, you had to pass the undead to get into the town, but then after you're in the town, they don't allow any undead in there. So it's like you wouldn't be smelling that when you're in the saloon. You would be fine. But there's other places where it's like there's only undead, or they like,
unless there's a limb on the ground somewhere.
I mean, there was one that was like pointing. They used them as signage because there was a dude tacked to a sign that was like the saloon is this way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's just pointing. I was like, they're sadistic.
I know it's great though, because I do think I know you have considering this world, like scent is going to be huge. The idea that people are probably walking around with little potpourri sessions,
Just wait till you see my next short film.
There we go. I love it. I love it.
We had to go buy. We bought like 6 air fresheners, and the guy at 7-Eleven was looking at us funny, like,
It's like you guys trying to hide a
"We-
body or something.
we didn't
Right.
do
It's good.
anything."
Yep. That's
Yeah,
what I was gonna say. And
yeah.
you're like,
And my actor was
fictitiously, yes.
my actor was already in makeup, like he had makeup on already for shooting, and we were like,
Love it.
"Oh, no, it's just for a project." And my actor goes,
Right.
"I'm really stinky." Like, I was just like,
I love it.
you can't take them anywhere.
That's
It's
right.
good. Thanks. Do you want money?
Nope.
I think we should go.
Beautiful.
Funny.
All right. So
All right.
those are our pairings. And what we ask of every guest is to bring on a third-party comic that is not their own, that they are loving or have loved for a long time. Give it a shout out and pair it with a beverage of their choice. Laurie, what have you got?
Well, of course, since we are undead adjacent, I chose to share, of course, the classic Walking Dead compendium,
Yes.
the giant freaking book you can kill someone with, but please don't. You can't. I mean, this is what restarted all the zombie genre, right?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
after, like you said, after Romero, this is the standard. So I brought this, and what I paired with that was what is in the on the bottom there. It's the Bee Nectar Zombie Killer Hard Cider with honey and cherry. But you got to see the
nice.
picture. Would you mind sharing the picture?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
There she is.
Be
There it is.
It's very fruity, but of course it has that like the cider, but it has the honey. It's a mead, excuse me, because it's bee nectar. They're a meadery, so
Yeah.
it
Right.
has just a nice flavor between. And then of course you can't beat the name. It's a zombie killer.
Nope. And it's on brand for you with your slice
Yes.
and dice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With killing the fruit. My husband actually got me and they come in like these cool bottles. They're like a brown bottle with a weird shape. Doesn't look like a beer bottle. And he got it for me just because it was for shits and giggles. It was like, look at this cool thing. And it was delicious. So then it just became a staple in our house.
Oh, cool.
I haven't been able to find any down here in Texas. So you know where they have, because bee nectar is a Michigan thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are America is terrible with distribution of alcohol across state lines. Like, we're so restrictive about it that if they're a small enough organization, it's really hard to get out. And not get that widespread.
We have to go to someplace special to find it. So I don't know. We have a Specs out here not too far away. So maybe I'll take a trip to Specs and go see if I can find some zombie killer. But it's been a long time. But this is such a good drink. It's great with just about anything, with dinner or just to have on the couch and, throw on Night of the Living Dead or Train to Busan and have a drink. So read your comic, have a cookie, put some hot sauce on it. It's a good night.
All night.
Beautiful.
Good stuff.
All right. Yeah. All right, everybody. That was Laurie Calcaterra of Path of the Pale
Rider.
Yes, 14 more days on Kickstarter. If you have not backed it, or if you haven't looked at it, but you've just saw all the rewards that you can go and mix and match, go to that page, Path of the Pale Rider. You'll find it really easily. It's scrolling on the bottom there. And you have until March 22nd to do that. But we are breaking 2 hours at this point, so it's time to call it a night. Thank you so much, everyone who has watched this. One last little roundup as well. Walking Dead Compendium for the other major zombie comic out there, or undead comic out there. Bee Nectar with a K. If you want to try to spot that and find that as an amazing cider drink from a mead company.
Yeah.
And Cowboy Surfer, which you can't find, or just look for a nice American Pinot Gris, Gris, which is the same thing as Pinot Grigio, but look for that from somewhere in the States. You'll probably find a nice, ripe, warmer climate version of that, which I think pairs beautifully with it as well. Or Dallas says, Casa
Mariol Vermouth Negre.
There you go. I'm gonna let that stand and not try that myself. But that is vermouth that has been steeped in a crazy amount of aromatics, and vermouth that has been steeped that way there is, I don't know the name of the brand, but there is a vermouth. If you have a Whole Foods near you, there is an Italian vermouth that has been like a lot of botanical herbs have been steeped into it. And I drank that plain, like neat, just straight up. And it was so good. So find that if it's nearby you, take a look for that. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. This has been the Wine and Comics Pairing Show. We'll be back tomorrow with Richard Fairgray and the Ex-Wives of Frankenstein. Good night for now.
Night, guys.
Bye.